Hey, thanks very much for joining me. I am Al Cortland, but I bet you already knew that. We are shooting some video up in Vancouver right now, concurrent with the Cambridge House World Investment Conference. This ran on January 6th and 7th, or was it 7th and 8th? 6th and 7th at the Convention Center West in Vancouver. The reason I enjoy coming to these things is it gives me the opportunity to chat with old friends and get these old friends to basically visit with you also, as I'm doing right now with my friend David Morgan, silver investor. We've known each other for a long time.
We have, Al.
Yeah, 8 to 10 years or whatever. Gosh, it's been an interesting time. David's been a guest on our program, a regular guest on the show, really since I started. I guess I shouldn't say started, but switched the emphasis to hard assets, which was back in the early part of this decade. And I tell you, I've learned more about David than from almost any of the other guests on our show. Let's talk first about the silver investor. Yeah, I know you've got various tiers of services that you offer to your subscribers and clients, etc. Give us a rundown on that, would you?
Sure. Well, I have a basic service, which is a monthly publication, which is how we started. And actually about 2 years ago, we did a marketing survey to our members only. So what do you want? And the overwhelming feedback was, I want to know exactly what you're doing.
Right.
And so we have that service now. It's called Basic Plus, and I show exactly what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and I use basically technical analysis. Of course, the fundamentals underlie that.
Sure.
And I show them in a picture form. I use the Camtasia program. A lot of our viewers probably know what that is, some don't, but basically it's a video, and I talk through and I draw the chart right in front of them and I say if this happens. I'm a big admirer of Richard Russell, I think the granddaddy of all newsletter writers, and he and I have basically the same philosophy. I don't know anything, the market knows everything.
Right.
And so based on what the market is doing at the time, I let that be the precursor to how we're going to trade. We've been very successful, not 100%. Of course, no one knows how successful because I just started that service this year. We've been doing okay so far, but my track record, I'd say, is good. Again, not perfect. You can't trade for a living and expect to win every trade. In fact, if you do it correctly and manage money correctly, which most people don't, one, they overtrade and they don't manage their money correctly.
Right.
But you can have 10 losing trades in a row and make one good trade and make up for all those losers. The problem is most people are not disciplined enough to actually do trading correctly.
Sure.
And that's why I hesitated for so long before I decided to do this service. But I finally bit the bullet this year, said, the markets are so volatile, probably a lot of opportunities. Let's give it a go and see how it goes. So far, the feedback's been very good.
That's super. I've got a question for you that's a little bit off of what we're talking about, but I'm a firm believer, right? I guess I'm going to pick Mr. Morgan's brain here, but I'm a firm believer that in terms of the stock markets, okay, I view the stock markets, Dave, as being, number one, the conventional stock market, and then that portion of the stock market that consists of the resource stocks, companies that are, gold, silver, etc. I am convinced that the conventional stock market is about ready to implode. And I'm not saying, dry up and blow away by any means, but I'm saying I think we're going to see some significant downward movement in the market as measured by the Dow Jones Industrial Average, NASDAQ, etc. But I would maintain, because of my thoughts, because of what I've learned from some of the guests on the program, Bob Moriarty, Ian Gordon, other folks like that, I believe that the resource segment of the stock market is going to remain strong and I think go into a significant upward trend. Am I nuts?
No, you're not. I have a similar belief. Basically, what I think will take place is this. In fact, I wrote about this in the last Morgan report. As if we're both correct and the stock market rolls over the general equity market, you'll see the mining shares and resource sector probably sympathize with it initially.
Yeah, no, of course.
And then gold is the most negatively correlated asset, but not gold stocks. So if gold makes a break to the north or continues up while the general stock market is moving down, then it won't be too much longer after that where you see the gold stocks and the resource stocks catch up.
Sure.
What I'm really playing with in my head and have been for the last year or so is what happened after this great washout in 2008. Because what happened was silver really got clobbered and gold came down measurably. And yet both of the physical metals were extremely difficult to get. As an example, silver was about $9 at the bottom, but the cheapest you could get it from a retail dealer was about $13.50. That's quite a spread. You could get it off the exchange at that level, which I did and some other people did, and turned those into 100-ounce bars or coins and made the arbitrage. In fact, I wrote a public article about that. So I gave you that background to say this. it is a possibility that we're going to have such a tight supply in the physical metals that once people understand what's really going on, they will go to anything gold and silver. Well, what remains? If you can't buy the physical, you're going to buy the stocks.
Exactly.
And what's going to happen, in my belief, is you're going to see probably the biggest run into the junior mining sector that we've ever seen. I think what you saw in 1979 and early 1980 is a warm-up parade to what we're going to see.
I agree. No, I agree 100%. I think the opportunities are significant. You know, as I've said on the air virtually every week, whether it's on our show on the Business Talk Radio Network or whether it's on our show on Genesis, I'm a firm believer right now that precious metals and precious metals related investments are without a doubt the best place to be. Now, don't construe that as investment advice, because I'm not a registered investment advisor. All I talk about is what my wife and I do. You know, I'm not telling you what to do by any means, but I don't know, Dave. I think the resource sector right now, with all the uncertainty in the world, whether we're talking economic uncertainty, whether we're talking geopolitical uncertainty, whatever, I mean, it's the perfect storm, in my opinion, for gold and silver.
Right, and the other aspect is, in the run-up in 79, 80, was how many people in the market. You know, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have E-Trade and Ameritrade and TD and all these other electronic platforms that many people have.
Right.
It wasn't available in Russia, it wasn't available in China. I mean, you couldn't buy gold and silver in those countries. You can now. Mm-hmm. So I think what you're going to see, as I said, is a much bigger move this time, because there's one, better information through the internet,
sure,
and there's a lot more people are able to enter this market. And if silver went from, you know, roughly the $5 level to $50 in 1980 with, you know, the Hunt brothers and some Arabs, and now there's, you know, 1.5 billion ounces less silver available in the physical realm than there was then, and you probably have 10 times as many people available to invest in that market than you had back then.
Sure.
You know, where do you think the price is going to go?
Well, I don't think it takes, you know, it doesn't take a genius to know where the price is going to go, or at least to believe where the price is going to go, and that's up. If you want to get more information on silver, if you really, really want to get tuned into precious metals, you know, as I've said on the program, as I say, I guess I should say on the program constantly, you need to get all the information you can. And I got to tell you, you know, I'm not getting paid for saying this, but the Silver Investor, in my opinion, is one of the premier publications out there. We provide a link to Dave's website. Follow that link from our website and you get all the information you want about Silver Investor. David, thank you.
Thank you, Al.